什么显卡一张要25万
These graphics cards, one costs 250,000 yuan. That's this H180G model I'm holding.
近期很多粉丝私信我，想看看英伟达 H100 长什么样子。
Lately, many fans have been messaging me asking to see what the Nvidia H100 looks like. Brothers, today it's here. This is the H180G everyone online is scrambling to get. This single card is worth about 250,000 yuan and is nearly impossible to find on the market. In the high-performance computing sector, it offers up to a 110-fold improvement compared to CPUs.
Some mainline Chinese content creators have been showcasing their Nvidia H100 graphics card on social media platforms, even though these products are restricted by the United States. Earlier this year, Su Di, founder of Kunlun Nest, released a video claiming he obtained a batch of Nvidia graphics cards through illegal means and even taunted the US president. He also revealed that the Nvidia H200 graphics card is currently the most expensive GPU on the market.
H100的单片。我们今天 AI
What I'm holding here is the legendary single-chip Nvidia H100 graphics card. The AI boom we're seeing today is driven by breakthroughs in this technology. Its computing power is many times that of the Nvidia RTX 4090. The US has imposed a blockade on this product, but I still have it in my hands. Many friends in the comments say, this is illegal. Yes, what we're doing is indeed illegal. It violates US laws. Trump will be furious about this, right? The guy who helped me get these cards has been working on it for 2 years, handling large quantities each time. He's been blacklisted by the US twice.
An industry veteran with 18 years of experience in computing power recently shared, the most sought-after product in the market right now is the H200, and, to my knowledge, a cloud service provider has been actively searching for H200 units. These providers supply computing power to Chinese tech giants like Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, and ByteDance. The H200 is an upgraded version of the H100 chip and belongs to Nvidia's high-end Hopper series. Although priced at only about 200,000 yuan higher than the H100, it boasts 30% greater efficiency. Nvidia's Blackwell series represents its premium line, with the B200 priced at over 3 million yuan and currently the most restricted product in circulation. Its distribution channels are highly secretive. Both chips are used for large-scale AI model pre-training, with the B200 being extremely rare. Starting October 17, 2023, the US began gradually restricting the sale of Nvidia chips to China, including the A100, A800, H800, H100, and H200. Recently, the last Hopper series chip allowed for export to China, the H20, was also added to the restricted export list. The H20 chip is a customized version of Nvidia's AI chip for the Chinese market. After the US banned the H800 chip sales to China in 2023, Nvidia launched a limited H20 model under the US Department of Commerce's Export Administration regulations. The H20's performance is only about one-third of that of the H100. Major buyers of the H20 include ByteDance, Tencent, and Alibaba. Since taking office, President Trump has considered banning Nvidia's H20 chip exports to China. On May 13th, the U.S. Department of Commerce officially revoked Biden-era rules on AI technology diffusion and simultaneously introduced stricter export controls. According to a statement by the U.S. Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security on the same day, a series of measures were announced to strengthen overseas AI chip regulations, including 3 key guidelines. First, explicitly stating that using Huawei's Ascend AI chips anywhere in the world violates U.S. export control regulations. Second, warning the public of potential risks in training or running Chinese AI models with U.S. chips. And third, urging U.S. companies to enhance safeguards to prevent supply chain transfers or regulatory evasion. Trump's latest policies clearly aim not only at stopping advanced technology from flowing to China, but also to curb China's potential to build overseas tech ecosystems. On April 16th, Nvidia announced that the U.S. government notified the company on April 9th that exports of the H20 chip to the following countries and regions must obtain export licenses. This includes China, including Hong Kong and Macau, as well as to D5 countries or regions. These are countries under weapons embargo. Companies based or ultimately owned in these countries are also forbidden. On April 14th, the US government informed Nvidia that this licensing requirement would be indefinitely effective. Despite US sanctions, China continues to develop AI similar to DeepSeek through covert transactions. An article by Hu Xiu reveals a secretive network within the industry's lower tiers. Some Chinese distributors use special procurement channels, multiple resales, and repackaging to bring servers into the market indirectly. Others find alternative routes by embedding modules into products through third-party companies to acquire servers. During the early months, the market experienced turmoil and instability. Tempted by huge profits, some enterprising individuals took risky steps. An industry insider who wished to remain anonymous said, "At that time, the market was flooded with suppliers from various backgrounds, including overseas returnees and well-informed individual traders." Their circulation methods were relatively crude and straightforward. Although the transactions remained secretive, they hadn't yet evolved into the complex, layered subcontracting chains seen later. These early pioneers exploited information gaps and irregular channels to supply Nvidia's high-end graphic cards, naturally driving prices up. Some individual suppliers priced Nvidia A100 cards as high as 128,000 yuan, far exceeding the official suggested retail price of about $10,000. Even more striking, some posted videos on social media holding H100 chips, claiming single chip prices as high as 250,000 yuan. Amid this covert circulation, mainland China's AI computing boom also surged between 2022 and 2024, with many computing centers rapidly constructed. Data shows that in 2024 alone, over 458 AI computing center projects were initiated. This aligns with the CCP's push for a technological leap toward becoming a science and technology powerhouse. According to market research firm KZ Consulting, over 500 AI computing centers were announced across China, from Inner Mongolia to Guangdong, in 2023 and 2024. Data from the China Communications Industry Association's Data Center Committee indicates that by the end of 2024, at least 150 newly built computing centers would be completed and operational. Various companies, including MSG producer Lotus Holdings and die manufacturer Jinji Company, invested heavily. However, the frenzied graphics card speculation and AI computing boom didn't last long. By late 2024, especially after domestic models like DeepSeek emerged with high cost performance ratios, many power suppliers relying solely on stockpiling cards or lacking core technology support found it increasingly difficult to sustain their operations. The AI computing bubble began to show signs of bursting. Statistics showed that in the first quarter of 2025, China had 165 AI computing center projects with new activity. Of these, 58% remained in approved or planning stages, 33% were under construction or near production, and less than 10% were actually operational or in trial runs. According to data from Chinese tech industry think tank Crazier, in the first half of 2024, nationwide AI computing centers had a total capacity of 1.7 billion GPU hours, but actual usage was only 560 million GPU hours, an overall utilization rate of just 32%. Meanwhile, the average rack occupancy rate in the computing infrastructure sector was below 60%. The average rack occupancy rate is the ratio of actively used racks to total racks in data centers. Online reports reveal that the average data center occupancy rate currently hovers between 20% and 30%, with some enterprise-level AI computing centers operating at just around 10%. He Yun, an AI data center professional in mainland China, explains that these computing centers mainly serve large model enterprises. Aside from DeepSeek, there are few truly significant large model companies, resulting in an overall supply surplus in the domestic market. While demand comes mainly from these few large model companies, the supply side is abundant due to government encouragement of building computing centers, leading to overconstruction. The oversupply and declining profits in China's data center industry are primarily driven by weak demand. He identifies several reasons for this. First, the internet growth dividend has peaked. The market for platforms like WeChat, Douyin, and Taobao has saturated. The demographic dividend has ended. Second, the overall domestic economy is sluggish. Companies are cautious about IT spending, which dampens demand for cloud services and digital transformation. According to Crazier, less than 20% of newly built AI computing centers in China became operational in 2024. This is because many were not organically developed based on genuine demand, but were established as political achievements by officials and fundraising tools by entrepreneurs. Local officials treat AI computing centers as new infrastructure to boost economic growth. Speculators play along by exaggerating promising returns to secure initial investment and construction quotas. These speculators then use the investments as seed money to create numerous special-purpose vehicle companies to apply for bank loans. To obtain financing, many speculators behind AI computing center projects collude with various parties to create fake leases, successfully securing bank loans. To report favorable results to the government, speculators also found a secondary business for these computing centers, cryptocurrency mining. However, mining causes extreme wear and tear on computing equipment, which may become unusable after just 2 years. For these speculators, the performance of AI computing center equipment is not their priority. As long as they profit from arbitrage during equipment purchases, their mission is considered accomplished. Another tactic for raising funds using data centers involves obtaining government green energy subsidies. In April 2024, the Xinjiang Development and Reform Commission issued regulations, allowing large new AI computing centers to connect up to 400,000 kilowatts of solar or equivalent wind power to the grid for every 500 petaflops of computing capacity. Grid connection means generating income from renewable energy integration. The issue of having chips but being unable to use them is attributed by industry experts to a structural mismatch. It's not an absolute oversupply of computing power, but rather a shortage of effective high-end computing resources. Meanwhile, a large portion of existing computer capacity remains underutilized due to technological obsolescence, incomplete ecosystems, or insufficient operational capabilities. Amid the noise and concerns in the AI computing landscape, tech giants are taking markedly different approaches. Wang Zhi, partner at InnoChip, told Yi Cai that the cycle of AI infrastructure construction has already begun. He said, similar to the previous 5G network infrastructure build-out, this AI infrastructure development will become the technological foundation driving overall social productivity, boosting the economy, and sustaining long-term impact. ByteDance plans to invest over $12.3 billion, around 89.2 billion yuan. In AI infrastructure in 2025. Of this, 40 billion yuan is budgeted for purchasing AI chips within China, with around 50 billion yuan allocated for buying Nvidia chips. On February 24th, Alibaba CEO Wu Yongming publicly announced plans to invest 380 billion yuan in AI infrastructure over the next 3 years, a figure that exceeds the total investment made in the past decade. Baidu Smart Cloud successfully activated the Kunlun chip third-generation 10,000 card cluster, the country's first officially operational self-developed large-scale cluster. Plans are underway to expand this to a 30,000 card cluster. Baidu chairman Li Yanhong has stated the company will continue investing in AI to remain at the forefront of this major technological trend. Tencent is making significant AI investments through initiatives like its Yuanbao large model, WeChat's integration with DeepSeek, and upgrades to Tencent Cloud. China's 3 major telecom operators are building ultra-large AI computing clusters. According to a research report by Changjiang Securities, by the end of 2024, these operators' combined AI computing capacity will exceed 50 EFLOPS. Sources say that by the end of 2024, China Mobile's total AI computing capacity will approach 30 EFLOPS, while China Telecom's reached 21 EFLOPS by November last year. However, facing massive procurement demands, supply-side pressures becoming apparent. An article from tech website quotes a sales representative from an AI computing supplier, saying the market can't keep up with delivering orders to major companies, with many firms unable to fulfill signed contracts. In contrast, the AI computing bubble seen earlier starkly contrasts with the current large-scale AI infrastructure investments by major companies. While many computing power suppliers, especially those listed on the A-share market, are halting large AI computing projects, tech giants are actively increasing their AI infrastructure spending. Feng Bo, managing partner at Changlei Capital, explained that when AI training demand is no longer widespread, only those with genuine training capabilities and qualifications, like Alibaba and ByteDance, will continue purchasing chips for training. Those lacking such capabilities fade away, turning their computing resources into a bubble. By the end of 2024 and the first quarter of 2025, several companies, including Beijing Philsense, Lotus Holdings, and Jinji Company, ended computing power rental contracts worth hundreds of millions of yuan. Meanwhile, some suppliers note that contract cancellations are common in the computing power leasing business. The reasons behind the shift are clear. The sharp cooling of AI computing coincided with the rise of DeepSeek. Since this year, no one has talked about a model war anymore. DeepSeek exposed the bubble in training demand. Today, only major companies and a few AI model firms remain active. The head of China's first public cloud company listed on the STAR market, uCloud, told mainland media this year that domestic AI computing power supply is still constrained by the performance limits of domestic chips and the construction cycle of AI computing centers. uCloud is enhancing capability with domestic chips, but acknowledges that breakthroughs in high-end computing power are still needed. An AI large model integration platform recently released its 2025 AI Spring Model Usage Trend Report, showing that the usage of China's once popular DeepSeek R1 dropped from a 7% peak in February to a 3% by the end of April. Poe analyzed that its viral momentum has weakened and user retention has not sustained. The report shows that OpenAI's GPT 4.1 saw a surge in usage after adding text-to-image features like the Ghibli style, quickly capturing a 9.4% share within weeks of release. Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro also experienced rapid market share growth. On PTT's stock board, users commented, "If DeepSeek R2 doesn't launch soon, it's doomed. No updates on reasoning capabilities, and no multimodal features either. Such a fleeting glimpse, what a shame. Let's hope they improve." They also noted a surge in ChatGPT traffic, questioning what happened to the supposed AI computing power surplus. Many users criticized DeepSeek, saying things like, "You can't ask sensitive topics. What's the use? Too slow and inconvenient. And once you try it, you'll see users only stick to what works. Cheap and ineffective options are useless. Everyone goes back to GPT and Grok." Others said, "ChatGPT is enough, and it often can't answer questions, so of course people abandon it." Some pointed out, Chinese open source models are indeed strong, but surpassing American giants is basically impossible due to hardware limitations. With the AI computing bubble close to bursting, what comes next? A chief marketing officer from a well-established computing power supplier said discussing the bubble can't be limited to computing power alone. It's a whole industry chain issue. To make full use of computing power, the disconnected parts need to be linked together, but the industry chain has yet to form a complete closed loop. Entering the first half of 2025, a notable trend in the AI field is that the once popular term pre-training, frequently mentioned by major AI companies, is gradually being replaced by inference. Whether targeting the broad consumer market or empowering enterprise-level B2B applications across various industries, the demand for inference is sharply rising. At the same time, in response to resource mismatches and low computing power utilization, various regions are rolling out different subsidy policies based on local industrial needs. However, local government finances are tight, even approaching critical shortages. Simple policy quick fixes are unlikely to fundamentally reverse the situation. Currently, the AI computing industry can only be considered an ecosystem nurtured through self-sufficiency. In other words, China's AI computing centers and AI development resembles the 1950s mass steel production campaign during the Great Leap Forward, when the CCP mobilized people to melt pots and pans in the fields, but steel production failed. It also echoes the 2010s domestic substitution drive, following U.S. chip export bans. It led to the construction of many chip industrial parks that attracted numerous unqualified companies into the integrated circuit industry, resulting in numerous unfinished projects. This massive bubble in China is nearing its burst and may become yet another grand initiative that is impressive on the surface, but ultimately fails.